professor, I will test you in the worst way. Don't bring a Scantron, pop quizzes all day. Cause of our chemistry, we do biology.
Alright, fam. What's happening? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscriber die trying. Bronco Nation, let's ride. Uh, it's still funny to me. I don't care. I saw something with Busta Rhymes when he's like, sometimes you got to get out the way. Sometimes you can block another brother's blessings because you won't get out the way. And then I thought about it. And I was like, man, for one, that was a great, I appreciate listening to that. It's very inspiring. I say it that way. Because I thought about that, and even in my own life experience, there have been people who sometimes were jealous of other people, and they made sure that that person couldn't get ahead, or they tried their best to make sure that person couldn't get ahead. So because they couldn't get out of the way, so when we talk about people who may be haters, sometimes people block other people's blessings because, I see greatness in you that I don't see in myself, but I can manipulate whatever position I'm in at the moment to, slow down your progress and hopefully stop it. And I've been fortunate enough to see people who got out of the way and said, you know what, I wish you nothing but the best. Go do that. I'm not getting in the way. But I've also unfortunately seen and heard and sometimes you should believe half of what none of what you hear, but some of these things wind up being true, that people were trying to make backroom deals to make sure other people didn't get their moment in the sun. They didn't get their shine. They didn't get that opportunity. Somebody was standing in the way of another person's blessings because they wanted multiple opportunities to put themselves on the forefront. So let's just say, this human being um, has been making the most out of the shot that they've been given. They get 10 opportunities. So this other person gets 10 opportunities. But this other person's like, well, I really want to be in that position. So we got to work out where I get 15 opportunities and the other person gets 5. So now they got to make the most out of the 5 opportunities and you get 15. And you won't get out the way. Now some people, didn't excel with less opportunity, and others did. But that becomes another lesson in itself because, you know, just because you try to steal somebody's shine, a spot, or moment, that doesn't mean even if you get that spot or moment, you're going to be able to hold on to it. Sometimes you sabotage yourself trying to undermine somebody else. So it is what it is. That happens most of the time that I've seen. But there's another thing where, brothers got to get out of the way to block because they block blessings. I've seen successful people try to empower people or give people opportunities that weren't ready for it and they couldn't take advantage of it. And what those persons would do was basically create more conflict, bring more negativity to the situation than positive, to the point you got to cut them off, got to let them go. They can't, and it's hard for them to move on because they knew they were some of them it's hard to move on. I've seen people just move on because they know, they're like, look, you gave me all these shots and I blew them. And the other people like, I blew a lot of opportunities, but man, you just gonna let me go? And it's like, and they might try to blow up your spot. They won't move out of the way. Sometimes you got to move people out of the way. It's unfortunate, but I've seen it happen too many times. Then you got people who compete. Like you might have something happen You know, you might have something good going for you, and instead of having a support system, you basically have a Royal Rumble who's competing against you, and it really doesn't help the situation whatsoever. So now you're in a spot where you you thought you had a team where you all could win, but truth be told, they're getting in the way and making sure you can't win. I remember example of that would be I remember Fat Joe was talking about how Red Stripe, this guy who I guess was marketing for Red Stripe, uh, was trying to give Fat Joe a few $1,000,000 to be a sponsor to sponsor. They try to get sponsored by Red Stripe so he could promote it, market it. He was hot at the time, and he said he saw the guy. Well, the guy was at a restaurant that Fat Joe frequented. So sometimes I think it was a restaurant, and Fat Joe had so many people like protecting him, the guy could never get to him, and he wound up meeting the guy years later, and he told him the story, and he was like, "Whoa, I'm doing too much now. You set up boundaries that blocked your own blessings. You were your worst enemy in that case. So it wasn't other brothers, it was you. But and sometimes I hate to say this, but sometimes people can't get out of the way because they're screw ups, and they're so bad. They're so bad at being a screw up that they block your blessings because you're a sucker for them. They can't go be a screw up on their own, and you keep saving them at your own expense and at your own detriment, to the point where they know they're a drain, you know they're a drain, but you're trying to be loyal to something that's not healthy. So what do you do? Like, you gonna feel guilty that you let the situation go? It makes no sense. But in my opinion, that happens too often. Because and ultimately, what I'm gonna say is this: the most disturbing thing about uh, if you're blocking other brother's blessing is most of the time you're blocking somebody's blessing, and you're doing it intentionally. I don't care if it's for a good reason or a bad reason, a selfish reason, or just an aloof reason. You know that man, what I'm doing is really you know not not the right thing to do, and I know I'm holding this person back. And instead of you know being a springboard for them to go higher, I wind up becoming um, cement shoes, just dragging them lower. So it didn't, they know that. And some people don't want to admit they're the type of brother that will block another brother's blessings. Because the other thing is some people are jealous, and you know, and they want to be blessed first. Take that up with God, not the person. But tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Catch you on the next one. Peace.
You ever been at the top of the universe? I'm gonna take you.